Okay, in this video we're going to show how to replace the mercury switch on the lid with the new plunger type switch that we have for a replacement of the mercury switch. First thing, you want to remove the mercury switch and dispose of that properly. You'll have to check with your city and find out how to get rid of the mercury in your area. So you'll be left with this threaded rod that's connected to the lid. And what we're going to do is install this little arm on there, which is going to move up and down and contact the plunger. So first thing we want to do, it's a fine thread on that rod. So we just put one nut on there. With about 1/4 inch of the thread sticking out. So you run that nut on there all the way, and so the next piece can go on. The other thing is make sure you shut the power off before you do this. Disconnect the machine from the power. So the next thing, this little arm has a threaded nut welded to it. So you just get that on there and make sure it's not cross-threaded. Get it going on there. And then a lot of times I'll lift the lid, get a hold of that with a vice grip. Just to get a little more leverage to turn that. Don't want to over tighten things, but I want to make sure it's on there far enough. Just have to run that second nut on a little farther sometimes. And I want to position it so that the plunger is towards the back panel and in a vertical position. So what I do is get it pretty much where I want it, put the vice grip on it, and then just go ahead and hold it in place, let the lid down against there. And just kind of check it, make sure you're pretty much in the right place, and you see how it'll move up and down and then contact the switch. Hold that in place, and then bring the first nut back against it. And tighten those up good. And that'll hold it tight so it can apply pressure to that switch when it comes down. Then the switch, just need to loosen up those two plates where the wires are going to fit in. Now the wires fit in exactly where the mercury switch wires fit in. It's number 13, and then towards the back there, A2. So if you can just snip the wires off the mercury switch, and if they're long. Okay, in this video we're going to show you how to replace the mercury switch on the lid with the new push button plunger type, just so we can get rid of the mercury. First thing you want to do is disconnect the power from the machine. Second thing, you want to remove the mercury switch and dispose of that. Check with your city or county, the hazardous materials disposal site, to get rid of that mercury switch. The two wires that we're going to use, you can either, if they're long enough, you can snip the two wires off the mercury switch and just use those. If not, I've sent some wires along that you can use attached the same place. They attach in number 13 and A1. There are also other wires that go into those same slots, so make sure that all the wires that come out of there go back in if you replace the wires, pull them out. So once that's done, then you'll have your threaded rod sticking in here that comes from the lid. And it's a fine thread on there. What you want to do is take a fine thread nut, get it started on there. on there until there's about 1/4 inch of the threaded rod sticking out. And then this part is the little arm that will attach to that rod and then come around and contact that push button switch. That's what goes on next. So you just get it started and thread it on. Just going to move that nut over a little bit farther. And then I'll just get a hold of that with the vice grip and use the lid for leverage. We're going to want that plunger in that position when we're done. So what I do on my last turn is I get it in the right position, put the vice grip on it, and then hold it there and just bring the lid down. Check the position, make sure it's pretty much parallel with the back panel. And you can see how that's going to move up and down then and contact the plunger. Vice grip back on, hold that in position, and then bring that first nut back against the arm nut and just tighten them together. Now lock that arm into position. And you can see how it goes up and down there. Next thing you want to do is attach this push button switch and the bracket to the 2 wires. So it's just the number 3 and 4 position. Just open up the switch. Plate that holds the wire. Screw it down tight. And the other wire. Just make sure they're both tight in there. Now this switch, I'm going to bring the wires down right along that edge. When this arm goes up, you can see it comes out into this space, so I want to make sure the wires aren't going to be tangled up or being bumped by that arm when it comes up. So you want to make sure it has free clearance. And so when this, you can see that switch when it's pushed into position, the lid will hold that down. When it comes up, it releases that, breaks the circuit and shuts the machine off. So when we position this, we want that plunger to be pushed down and up against the arm when the lid is closed. So with the, there are 2 self-tapping sheet metal screws that come with this. We're screwing into an aluminum backer panel, so don't put too much torque on it when you finally get it through there. Obviously, because that aluminum is not that strong, you could possibly strip it out. So just put this switch in position, push up on it to depress the plunger, and then get your self-tapping screw. I have a 1/4 inch hex head driver on a magnetic extender, which helps hold the screw. So hold the switch in place. Just put that screw right into the back panel, and then the second screw right through the 2 small holes in that aluminum bracket. And now just making sure the wires are out of the way, and you can see when the lid's down, the plunger's depressed, the circuit's complete. When the lid's lifted up, disconnects or it breaks the circuit, disconnects the power. That's about it. Usually there's a little bit of aluminum from the self-tapping sheet metal screws. I just take a piece of duct tape and wrap it around a screwdriver and get down in and kind of mop that up. Or if you have a vacuum with a small tip on it, you can get it out of there that way. Then also when you're closing the lid, just make sure the wires aren't down in the area where they'd be running into that arm. That's essentially it. If you have any questions, give us a call. Pretty easy to replace the switch, and that's it.